It shows who the spirit rolling with, man. If you really believe to get out there and teach your people that thing, gather them. Get right in their face in the chief place of concourse. Right where they shopping at. Let's get it. Because you brothers know better, man. Now trip off this. It says right here, Tacitus of about 90 AD says, many assert that the Jews are an Ethiopian race. Grab Amos 9 and 7 for me, brother. For Romans to have taken them for Ethiopians, for Ethiopians is clear indication of their color, since the Ethiopians were definitely black to the Romans. Trip off that, man. Amos 9 and 7. Yeah.
Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel?
O children of Israel. Again, being compared to the Ethiopia comes from the word Ethiop, which means dark face. Come on, brother.
O children of Israel, said the Lord, have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Castor, and the Syrians from Ker? Behold, the eyes of the Lord God are upon the sinful kingdom, and I will destroy it from off the face of the earth.
America's done. The Lord is about to get rid of America and Babylon as a structure and as a construct. It got to go down. Power got to go back to the 10 horns. Power got to go back to the 10 horns next. But Babylon is going down. The Lord said, I'm going to destroy it from off the face of the earth. Knows he talking about the children of Israel, because the children of Israel are held captive by this beast. But what, brother?
Saving that I would not utterly destroy the house of Jacob, said the Lord.
See, so the Lord say, even though I'm about to bring the destruction, even though I'm about to destroy it, the sinful kingdom, where you think you at? Neck deep in it. Where you think you at? You neck deep in Babylon, man. Lord said he going to destroy it from off the face of the earth. Saving, I would not utterly destroy the house of Jacob. See, you going to have the mercy of God to get out of this, man. You ain't going to be able to debate your way out of this, bro. Son, you ain't going to be able to debate your way out of this. You niggas ain't going to be able to shoot your way out of this, man. You going to be covered by the God of this Bible right here to make it up out of here, man.
Straight up.
Flat out. And then there's still a dividing after that. Still a divide. The rebels got to get purged. See, you men need to humble down and accept the God of this Bible, man. He put them heathens over us for a reason, because we rebelled. But they're going down. And we coming up, and y'all want to debate. Hell, we debating about. Now we going to have a revolution. All you niggas believe something different. What spiritual divine power we calling on, man? And why are we calling on? You want to debunk the Bible, get the people something to replace it. But you don't have nothing. You don't have nothing.
Nothing. What else we got there?
Right here, page 123. As it was already said, the Jews... Okay, did I read that one already? Yeah, I read that one already. All right, right down here, page 123. Waite says an interesting gradation of all shades down to the black is exhibited by the Jews.
Oh, the Jews.
Gradation of all shades down to the black is exhibited by the Jews. Especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. So now you know who was kicked out of Spain and Portugal in 1492, man. When Columbus got on what he got on, that's when slavery started. Trip off this. So dark were the Jews of Spain, especially dark were the Jews of Spain and Portugal. The Portuguese Jews were very dark, says Pritchard. Very dark. The Duchess of de Abrantes, wife of Napoleon's ambassador to Portugal, said that the Jew, the Negro, and the Portuguese could be seen in a single person. Wow, man. So dark were the Jews, especially of Portugal and southern Spain, that many whites thought all Jews were black or dark. That's because you had your converts coming on in. But especially dark were the Jews of Spain. And the rest of them are just pictures, but we showed enough pictures already. You feel me? And now we going to get to it right here. Talk about Beethoven. Beethoven was a Negro. It go more and more into it, man. But again, y'all looked it up. Nature knows no color line. by J.A. Rogers. He also got the book Sex and Race. And the brother went over to Europe himself and did his own research. You see what I'm saying? So just, you know, firing back at this boy. You know, he talking crazy. Ancient and Modern Brits by David MacRitchie. Let me get some pictures out of this, show some ancient Hebrews. Ancient and Modern Brits by David MacRitchie. We read about him earlier in Nature Knows No Color Line. Now, this was an Edomite. This was a white boy. All right? This was a white boy. Now, trip off what he say about the Scots and the Picts and all that. Page 198. Since we see that the people known to us, especially as Picts, the Picti of Claudian, were of black complexion, it becomes a question whether their chief allies, the early Scots, were not of a kindred hue. Huh? Remember, King James was James the Sixth of Scotland. And we already read out of when Scotland was Jewish that they go back to the throne of David. And they're dark skinned. Wow. Okay. Okay, page 200. The seers, we just read about them. In Nature Knows No Color Line. The seers and the Spaniards of their time were seen to be both Picts, and they, along with their other indigenous British tribes, inhabiting interior England and a large part of modern Scotland, as well as the black and painted races of Ireland, were also shown to have possessed many common characteristics and have closely resembled each other in several physical traits. And the Picts and Scots, specially so named, although each title appears to have been a general nickname and nothing else, may thus have been transmarine, not only because they dwelt on the further side of the Irish Sea and the Firth of Darkness. And then it gets down into it. It says, that save for the mountain range that skirts the eastern side of Loch Lomond would have severed the bulk of Scotland from the larger section of the island, not only because they were apparently the kindred of the more distant Picts of the Spanish Peninsula and the islands of Osti Mines, but also because they themselves, the Picts of the British Islands, are traditionally said to have come originally from the part of Scythia. Remember Paul saying there's no barbarian, no Scythian. Yeah. Paul wasn't writing to a whole bunch of group of white folk, man. That's what y'all believe. But you got to get into the history to show the black folks that was living amongst, the 12 tribes of Israel that was living amongst these people, man. All over the world. All over the world. Now trip off this. Right here. It says Scythia, right? Lying on the eastern side of the North Sea, the exact locality fixed upon by some being no other than Cimbrica, that promontory that is now called Futland, out of which some centuries later issued the Black Danes. That's who settled Denmark. The Black Danes of Cimbri. So that the Picts proper and the Black Danes, being both Picts and both Moors, and both being black strangers, are dubbed Gauls in the sight of the white races of Britain, coming as they appear to have done from the same locality, present themselves as not improbably akin. So far, however, we have only decided with regard to the early Scots that they were the associates of swarthy, piratical, painted races of a black Eskimo or Negrito Mongoloid strain, without reaching the conclusion that the Scots themselves were the same complexion. Man, what are we talking about? It say the 4th century, page 202. The 4th century Scots, then being undistinguishable from the general black herd that made up the Scot-Pictish army, were themselves the same complexion as the Picts proper. That is to say, they also were Maori or Moors. Moor is a generic term too for you brothers into the Moor science. That's a generic, that's like saying nigger. That's black skinned, brown skinned. But the people that inhabited Scotland, we're showing even through archaeologists. White archaeologists were dark-skinned people, man. Dark-skinned people. And it goes on, man. It says, however contradictory this deduction may appear, it must never be forgotten that the people who made Scotland an independent nation were not Scots. The Bruces, the Wallaces, the Stewarts, James Stewart, and many other lesser names were Normans and Flemings. It is true they identified themselves with the earlier races and readily assumed the name and some of the ideas of their adopted country. For men are very chameleons in their aptitude for making on local color, but they were not Scots. The rank and file of their followers may have been Scottish. Some of the leaders were so. For example, the good Sir James, the most loyal of all Bruce's knighthood. But he came of a race that boasted its ancient aboriginal blood and that bore a surname which signified the black man. Huh? Sir James, the Stuarts, the black man. And he himself, although by this time the family of Douglas had, likely enough, made more than one alliance with the whites, he himself was of a black and swart complexion, dark complexion, according to God's Croft, for which cause he was known to his foes as the Black Douglas. We read that out of Scotland when Scotland was Jewish. The Black Douglas. That's even testified by this cat who ain't even living no more. David MacRitchie. So we got that. You got the Basilicon Doron you want to read? Because a lot of y'all claim that King James was a homosexual. We showing you that he wasn't a white man. We showing you he wasn't a white man. And also...
And then not just that. He tried to say James. That being King James' name.
Right.
Why wasn't his name Abraham?
Yeah, he did.
Like that.
Yeah, you did say that. You put your foot in your mouth again. We're going to look up James in the dictionary, right?
Yeah.
James is the same word as Jacob. Yaquab, the supplanter. King James, he could have been called King Jacob as well.
Yeah, mean the same thing.
Abraham had a grandson named Jacob, doctor of deceiving Ali Muhammad. You got something you want to read?
We're going to read that
this is right here is the Basilicon Doron. This is King James. This is his book. You see, the whole lie of him being homosexual was created by a man, Sir Anthony Weldon, who used to be a part of his court, that he kicked out his court. And he waited 25 years after King James died. And 1 year after his son's head was cut off. And he started spreading rumors that King James was a homosexual. Now, being that since this is court and we throwing a charge of homosexuality, what would we do to prove he wasn't a homosexual? Because none of us got a time capsule, right?
Go to his writings.
We got to go to his writings. This is his book right here. Written in 1599 before he had the Bible even translated.
What's on that book?
Yeah, y'all go